Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Creative Cranium. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about the elements of graphic design. Got a terrific panel of guests, so I'm going to dive right in. I already know most of the guys in this room, so let's take a quick second and go around the room, introduce yourself, and tell us what you're mostly known for. Gregory, let's start with you, buddy.
Hey, Gregory Levitt, mostly known for internet trolling. Mostly just internet trolling, really. But I also have a trading card game, Battlegate, I'm launching pretty soon, and a comic book, Gun Demon, and a video game, Blue Terra.
Nice. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. It's always a pleasure to see KJ Kaminsky. Tell us who you are, buddy.
Good to see you, Tim. Good to see everybody. I am the co-creator, writer, publisher, and letterer of a couple sci-fi comic book series, The Resistance, Hyperaction, and Sophia Saturn.
I'm a fan of both of those series, so we're going to be talking a good bit about that. I got to welcome one of my favorite convention neighbors of all time, Richard Fairgray. How you doing, brother?
Hello, I'm Richard Fairgray. I used to do books for kids, mostly horror stuff, and now I do grown-up books for dirtbags, ladies, and gays.
Epic intro. Hey, last but not least, my pal Jay Rosario. Who are you, buddy?
My man, what's up, brother? I am JD Rosario, the real JD. Sometimes you see me with somebody else named JD, but that's his nom de guerre, right? So I had to just stick with J. But I have been making comic books for a while, right? 2008. My math is sucks. Been making titles under that imprint, such as New York versus the World, Shield of the Interceptor, The Dead Princess Vicky Stakes, and a slew of others. I'm also co-host of Indie Comics Explained on Sundays, and I am the host of this new show called Comic Book Streamland on Saturday nights. I love saying it and then thinking of like that He-Man theme, Streamland.
Look at you, rock star. How do I get a life like you, Jay? That's what I want.
You don't want it, dude. You don't want
it, all right. Hey, man, listen, we got a great show tonight. We're going to talk about the elements of graphic design. As you guys know, I'm a writer. I don't know anything about graphic design, right? So I try to figure it out by seeing people that are doing things that I like or that is memorable. And then I start asking them questions. I'm going to start with you, Gregory. I was a fan of the designs in well, first of all, there's Battlegate, the card game, which I'm looking forward to. And I was a Gun Demon fan too. You always find the best artists. In this case, it was Carlos Villas, right?
Carlos Villa. Yeah.
And also, thanks. I wasn't sure how to pronounce that. And also,
Christian Rossi is my sequential artist.
Give everybody a shout out. What I want to know is, how did you find your team?
Oh, it took years. I'm real picky. I had a vision of what I wanted, and there weren't that many artists out there I could find who could actually deliver that vision. But what I wanted to do was take the 90s image, high detail, cross-hatching shading, the popping collars, all that, and that high excitement, all that fun. I want to take it to the next level. I haven't seen very many people do that. Some have, but I haven't seen a lot of that. And what I believe the next level is better writing, because I think we all agree writing was one of the weaknesses in a lot of those books. And also something a lot of people don't think about is making stuff actually work for film, so that when you do a movie adaptation later, like character designs, they'll work out in film. They won't look stupid or different in the movie. You can actually write the story also so that it'll work for graphic novel and for film. And so I believe multimedia is the way to do it. And that's what I've been working on with my universe.
Man. I definitely want to talk to you about that too, because I think you're onto something with the multimedia. Let's jump over to KJ. I'm a fan of the Resistance series. I mentioned this on one of the other shows, and I think it has a really cool kind of striking design. But I want to ask the hard questions to you about this logo versus graphic that everybody's talking about, right? Like right now on Kickstarter, people are going back and forth between the concept of, do you want great big letters in your thumbnail, or do you want character designs? KJ, how do you do it?
I guess I do a little bit of both. I mean, I've done both, and I've like we were talking earlier about what works. You got to just see what works. Here I'm just showing the covers more than anything. But other times I've just cropped out parts of the cover, the artwork, and had a really big logo.
Would you be open to the idea of just great big logo?
No, because I think the characters are what's most important. I mean, the characters is what draws people in. The character designs too. My co-creator one of my friends from high school, Jason Krause, has done most of the designs, and I think he really, hit it out of the park with them.
You have great character designs. I mentioned backstage that in some, I'm pretty sure it was the Resistance guidebook might be the one that I have.
Yeah, yeah.
That sort of like the
Official handbook of the Marvel Universe.
right. It's like a handbook to the universe. And I
Yeah.
said to I don't know if he's listening, but Luis Santamarina is our guy. He's from Argentina, and I sent him a photo, and I was like this, like color coded, and because you have it a little bit, so your heroes they're a little bit color coded in sort of like the coolest action figure collectible kind of way.
Right, right. Yeah, it's set up into 3 different sections where we have the resistance team, kind of the anti-heroes. We have the corporate states, which are these militaristic that have taken over parts of the US. And then we have our bounty hunters, who are kind of our villains, kind of our heroes. But yeah, we separated it into 3 sections like that, with the blue, the red, and the green.
Yeah,
And
cool.
you know, kind of designing for card games too, and other types of RPGs and stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that too, because I think we're all moderately interested in the card games. So, hey, I wanted to mention, Richard, you got this new thing going on, right? This is a 5-day campaign.
Yeah.
Before I get into design, why did you choose a 5-day campaign?
Because I need to get more campaigns done, and I figure, you know, the best days of the campaign are always the first 2 and the last one. So why the fuck bother with the in between? And I have I have a campaign launching a week and a half from now, so I wanted to have a decent week to do pre-launch on that. And so this one can finish on Tuesday night, and I can kick off pre-launch immediately and start building up numbers that way.
Dude, this is gutsy. I got to hand it to you. I don't think I'd have been brave enough to do this. I'm going to be following this pretty close. So when you say shortening the campaign, are you ever concerned about you're missing potentially how many days of backers this way? Again, I'm not criticizing it. I just want to learn it.
Yeah, but like the thing is, you know, this book, one, I don't pay my artist because he's a piece of shit who doesn't deserve money. Because I should be clear, but I keep doing that joke and I keep getting in trouble. I am the artist. It's okay.
Right. For those of you that don't know, he's doing all of it.
But you know, I have incredibly low overheads, especially with a book like this one, which it's a web comic I drew in 2013. So this is stuff that I'm just finally putting out in print form.
Now, is it quick question? Is the thumbnail just the graphic of you hunched over the board?
No, it's a close up on the not safe for work variant cover I did. Everyone has always been telling me you gotta put some titties on your book covers. Well, actually, people kept saying you gotta do nudity on your book covers, and that was when I broke the record for most dicks on a cover with Haunted Hill 1.
Wait, I need to know how many. What is the record? How many was it?
It's 29 dicks, and I got
mental note, guys, if you want to try and break the record.
It's a wraparound cover, and I had spot UV treatment and all the jizz.
Factoids I did not expect to know today.
One of the most like really meaningful compliments I've ever gotten on my art was I was selling the book at a show, not in LA, and the scene on the cover is. My main character, Eva, is the daytime janitor at my favorite sex club in LA. And so she's there just mopping the floor while just this massive gay orgy is happening all around her. And I was at a show in Edmonton last year, and someone said, "Hey, is that Slammer?" And I was like, "You recognize the architecture?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, I know that one in Glory Holes."
Holy shit.
I've always heard that the gay orgies, they're really there for the architecture. That's what I've often heard.
I mean, I will say, if you're going to go to a suckatorium, you're going to care a lot about the architecture. Like, if we're going to talk about the essentials of design, whole placement matters, Timothy.
Well said. Well said. So now listen, when you make your thumbnail graphics, like you've had some that were just big logo, didn't you? Like it's just words. How do you choose it?
No, I've never done that. I can't imagine a world where someone would look at the thumbnail and think, well, the title is written really clearly below in Myriad Pro. I sure wonder what it would look like if it was a font. No, you should always, like, there shouldn't be text on your logo if you can help it. Like, I will sometimes do a lineup of 3 covers. No, sorry, on your banner, rather. I'll sometimes do a lineup of 3 covers, and then I'll have the title on it, but only if the title is really inherent to the design layout of the cover itself. But more often than not, I will always try and just have, like, you know, I've got the hand fisting the donut, or I've got the horse coming out of the woman's mouth.
That's how KJ's is. It's the 3 covers. And honestly, I've also done the 3 covers.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like I would say with this one, like that works at that size, but as soon as that is smaller, it's just it's incomprehensible.
Well, and that's what and again, I don't know the answers. That's why I'm asking you guys. So
And like, by the
one
way,
of my
I'm going to
concerns,
say on a 5-day campaign, I don't give a shit enough to make a nice image for this one. That is a bad thumbnail. That is a bad banner image or whatever you want to call it.
well, yeah, but again, like they say, like no style is a style, right? Like you've been tremendously successful with these campaigns. I want to see what a 5-day campaign does. I'll quickly share my experience because mine doesn't fit the mold. People say, oh, 30 days or less, you always got 8 days and no backers. But what I did was I did 38 days and it was easily the best one. So I'm dialed into 38 days and I do a little advertising over the dead spot. But I got to be honest, you hear 5 days and I go, I kind of want to try that.
Look, the thing is, I always like my Kickstarters are fairly stagnant. I do weird ass shit that appeals to a very niche audience and they're a very loyal audience. You hear these horror stories from people about how they're getting like 30% of their backers drop before the end of the campaign. And I don't get that. I get maybe like on Wet Cement, I had more because it was a more mainstream book, but generally I get like 2 to 4%.
What was the graphic for Wet Cement? I forget right now.
It's just her sitting on the toilet with the goldfish all around her.
Yeah. And that book was a hit. Everybody's talking about it.
It was fine. It did 3,500, you know.
Yeah, you certainly have a devout following in Baltimore. I noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, like this is the thing. You know, there are people who are using Kickstarter as their main focus. I'm very much using Kickstarter as I will pay for the printing of my books and come out of it with a few $1,000s in profit, and then I make my living by, you know, if I do 6 conventions a year, that's my bread and butter.
Okay. Well, that's something we're going to talk about too. Let's take a quick look at New York versus the world. Hey, and people that are viewing by the same token, these are all projects that are live now that you can back on Kickstarter. A little call to action. These are some of the best books out there. Jump over and check them out.
Oh, thanks,
okay,
man.
so JD, what's up, man? So now you've got slightly larger graphic and what I would call a smaller logo. Yeah. Is that an intentional choice? Tell us why you chose it.
You know, I'm not trying to say I'm a minimalist in any way. I'm just try not to overthink things, right? And when you try to build a better mousetrap, the only thing you're going to catch is yourself. So I'm just going to try to put as many multiple images, keep cycling them.
Hold right there. I want you to expand on that because we're coming into this question. You do ABCD testing. How many images do you have?
I got 4 images up there.
Okay.
So I did 1 a week. I ran it for 28 days, right? Real simple. Again, try not to overthink anything. 7 days, boom, flip it. 7 days, flip it. 7 days, flip it. So that way I'm constantly promoting a new image when I'm putting it.
Now, hey, I got to argue with you. Like, I would have thought 7 days is too long for an AB. That would have said 48 hours.
Yeah, I know. You know, we talked to Tom a lot, and Tom is big on that 2-week kick, and I totally understand.
Who's Tom? Who's Tom?
I'm sorry, Tom Hutchison.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Tom. Yes,
Tom is always big on that 3-week kick, or excuse me, on that 2-week kick. And I know JD Calderon is big on a 3-week kick, and I'm cool with that. I understand. I've run it for 3 weeks. I ran one for 2 weeks. I ran one for 4 weeks. I'm one of those people, just like Richard. I'm not using the campaigns to make my bank, right? The campaigns is to pay for my funding. And then once the books are printed, we do conventions, we do online sales, we do events, and that's where we move our product. We do offset printing. I'm always a big proponent of offset printing because you're buying things at a low margin and you can make some dough, you know, over the course of the year, the turnaround of the book. But when it comes to, you know, the 4-week campaign, there's only so many streams that I could fit in a 5-day, in a 2-week, in a 3-week campaign. Not everybody can book you at the same time. I feel the key is always getting your face out there, introducing yourself to other people. This is the first time I'm meeting Richard, KJ, Gregory, right?
All good cats.
This wouldn't have happened in a 3-week or 2-week campaign had I run it that way. So there's always these opportunities, and it may not hit on this campaign, but we may network or find a connection that may pay off sometime later on down the road.
Yeah, well said.
I'm not just thinking about this event. I'm thinking about the whole thing at large.
JD, do you ever think about doing like do the first 48 hours cover A, second 48 cover B, so on, so that by the end of the 8 days into the campaign, you will know which image gets the most traction?
I've never done it like that. At one point I was doing the separate covers for each reward tier, but then I found that people were just getting tired of scrolling through that whole thing, and they were just locking in on those first 3 or 4 tiers that were there.
Yeah, man, I think you're right on that too. You know, we get these tier setups with 28 covers. Look, by the way, I'm guilty of this, fellas. This is not me criticizing someone else, okay? I'll say refer to myself. You get 28 covers in there, and the darn thing's as long as your arm, and something like 80% of the backers look at the first 3.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, my R&D told me that a lot of backers, what I've found through a few years of R&D is that a lot of backers don't like for you to add extra things later. They want to know what's all going to be in the campaign at the beginning. So if you're actually going to add something later, you should probably let them know the first day, say, hey, on this day, we're going to release another cover and this and another. That way they can get their money together, you know, to be able to buy it. They get pissed off later when they can't afford to back the book again to get the new cover, you know. And
yeah,
and
I'm not pitching the idea of like adding another cover. I'm saying specifically for the promotional image of your banner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like,
Yeah, but
like how long do you do pre-launch for? You know, because like that seems like the place where there's no stakes if you do multiple images on your when it's in pre-launch, because you can just see how many people respond to this image on social media.
You know, I got a shout out from, you guys know Laurie Foster? Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Laguna. She's pretty cool, man. She reached out to me because, as you know, I'm not a graphic designer. And we had a cover that was sort of like, it was sort of like X-Files-ish. Like it had like this government typing on a document stuff. And she was like, hey, man, I got to do you a solid. This is really busy. I see what you're going for here. And it works by itself, but this won't be a great Kickstarter thumbnail. And she kind of like walked me through a couple of things. And we A/B tested them, and it killed the dead spot. Like she was right. So I'm fully a proponent of, for me, it was 4. I don't know the sweet spot, but to rotate the images, you know what I mean? And I think that, you know, pretty quick which ones worked and which ones didn't, or at least it seemed apparent in that case.
I see what you're saying. I did misunderstand. I thought you meant covers. My bad.
No.
Oh, that's part of it. Well, speaking of covers, hey, we kind of mentioned Carlos before. This is one of his pieces, right?
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually the Abaddon card from the Gun Demon deck that I'm
These
launching.
are sick, man. And so
Carlos is
give us a
amazing.
brief intro. You know, so we're talking about this multimedia and about the ways that comic creators can branch out into these other products. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes. Tell us about the plan.
That's mostly something I would do in a meeting. Mostly, I can't really. I'm not.
Give us the 1,000 foot.
I will say this. I think that if people are out there just thinking comic books, I don't know how well their comic book's going to really do over time. You know, because as we know, it's a very niche industry.
Yeah.
You know, and the type of comic book I'm putting together, I pay some really amazing artists, some world-class artists, and they don't come cheap. So I actually have to make, you know, some money to keep it, to sustain it. So I've got other projects from other mediums, you know, from other entertainment industries that I can use my IP in. And yeah, that's another card too from the Gun Demon deck. That's the Destroyer Demon. If you could bring up the Gun Demon cover that's got Gunny getting smashed out of the side of the building, that's got the logo on it.
Sure.
This
Keep
will
chatting
be.
a little, I'll help
You were asking about logos. So what I did was with that cover, the logo is bigger than usual. You know, people have asked me about why I made it so large. It's because I plan on this not just being a crowdsourcing product, but I want to get it into local comic book shops. So essentially, if you look at the popping reds and these collars right there, the reds and the yellows, if you walk in the shop and you look over and you see the new release rack, okay, those collars are going to pop and they're going to grab you. It's going to be one of the first books you see, because you're going to see a lot of Batman. Batman's a lot of cold blue and black, and it blends in oftentimes the background. You can't get a good look at Batman from a distance, you know. Some of the other books from Marvel and stuff, they don't really pop that much. But this will pop with these colors like this, and then as you're getting
like
closer, you'll actually be able to read that logo because it's so large, you know, from a distance. And you'll see, well, Gun Demon. Oh wait, it's a demon. Let me take a look. You know, I see how this.
Yeah, I get what you
mean
too about that '90s flavor. That thing is I love it, man. It's really
that's a Sed Nocon cover, and Sed is from Image Comics. He's phenomenal.
Nice. Well, good job building that team. You know, I'll just chime in a little bit. I wasn't a trading card guy before either, but you know, we're in the trading card business now. That's 23 countries take trading cards on these Kickstarter projects. And sometimes the Kickstarter, some people buy more cards than books. It's like a thing. So I have like little sets of cards. I got to be honest.
So the
that's one
trading cards, not the collectible card game.
in my case, it's not a game yet, but I have,
Okay.
it's okay to say I've been talking to Greg a little bit about this because I am interested in it. And I think that actually for a number of us, this is something that might potentially work as another stream. And really, KJ, one of them's you, right? So when you talk about the resistance, we talked about this a little bit last time, which is the first thing is it's sort of set up like an action figure universe in the coolest way.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Influenced by
really
G.I. Joe's. G.I. Joe and X-Men.
I love G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Those are the two biggest influences. And yeah, I've always dreamed of having a toy line.
Yeah.
Now, when you were doing the design, like we were talking a little bit about how there's different colors for the villains and the departments and that kind of things. Was that a conscious choice right from the beginning?
Yeah, I think a diversity of visual styles on characters. You know, I mean, I'm a fan of X-Men, so the old blue and gold outfits that they had were always cool, but to have every character be a different color was always very important. I think it makes each of them pop, makes each of them look different. But a little bit going back to what we were talking about with the AB with the thumbnail. If you take a look at my last campaign, I sent you a link for it. That's something that I was thinking about doing to change in the middle of this campaign to change my thumbnail. Did you see that link?
Yeah, here it comes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, that works, man. That pops too, dude.
That
Jay,
pops
what do you
a lot
like about
better
it?
than just the covers.
So tell me what you like about it, Jay.
It's your selling point, right? It's a dynamic angle. You know, you got your main characters up there. You got those primary colors that KJ's talking about against that muted background, so it makes them stand out even more. It's a great visual. It's how much did you do on this one, dude?
On this was about $3,000.
$3,000, dude. I mean, that's a selling point for me, bro.
Yeah,
that is. You know, you didn't even have to do the number one because you got the number one over there in the title.
Right. Yeah, I go back and forth with that too. When what you put in your thumbnail, like, you know, or how redundant are you going to be? Are they going to see it by themselves?
This is just an argumentative question. Ready? Would you have? This is for KJ. Would you have considered doing it at all without saying the resistance? No logo, just the art, or is that a stupid thing to do?
I don't know. Yeah, I you know, the logo is kind of the brand too. It's a trademark.
It's a great brand.
Richard, what do you think? Could you do this with just the image and not the logo?
Well, I was going to ask the same thing because the thing is, you have the Resistance Bounty Hunter Blitz #1 directly above it.
Right.
If this is on any other page, it is written next to it. If it is in a Facebook ad, that's going to be so small that it's going to be unreadable if it's on the image. The reason I would say it's working here is because if you take it out of this image, then your eye just falls off the top left of the picture.
Right.
There needs to be something up there, and this is kind of doing that job. But like for all the reasons that are being said for it to be there, I think none of them matter.
Well,
I love
again,
the play on the words. Yeah. You know, instead of just
I don't know
the
the
resistance.
Answer, but
yeah, they are. It's kind of like the Untouchables.
Mm-hmm.
They are resistant to the corruption and manipulation.
You kind of want to click on it without even knowing the name.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And one more point about it: it's framed nicely in that corner in between the head and the sword. You know, it's a weird little thing in my head. I guess it's my OCD, right? It's framed so nicely. It just lets the rest of the image talk for itself.
I would like, because of where it's placed in the image, I would move the word "the" right over to the E, so that it
for this image.
Yeah. And so
yeah.
like that, those are the little things working against it. And the framing between the head and the sword, I would like bump it up a little bit up and a little bit to the left because it's a little too close to the head because of the subtitle there.
I
agree. It's not nitpicking either. It's something.
No, that's fine.
If something bothers you a little bit, it's going to really somebody's going to hate it out there. You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
Sort of.
But I work without a net. I have no editor, so I'm my own editor. Yeah. I'm sure with like most of us.
We're looking at an image that worked, obviously. Like the campaign funder did its job. This is us like. These are the essentials of graphic design of us going like, how do we pull this apart?
Now, what do you have here? Like, you notice the background. You get the background faded out, right? It's
Right.
And those are the other characters.
Yeah. This is a composite of the cover and a splash and a couple other pages from the interior that I put
I think
together.
the perspective works in that space too.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, you can always change it. Oh my God.
Right. And that's what I kind of wanted to throw this out. I mean, the campaign right now is for the next 2 issues. So I have all 3 covers in that little thumbnail, and we have a week left, and I've been thinking of doing something more like this.
You should.
And I think
this is so much better.
I think the consensus, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean,
Well, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch them.
When this campaign was live, that hand is reaching out to the funding goal, and that's like, beautiful.
Oh, nice.
That's a good one. Yeah,
that's great, man. That's great. So let's jump back to this one. We got the comic book character, right? And I have liked a couple.
This is not a thumbnail. This is literally just a close up on. If you scroll down the campaign, you'll see the sexy cover.
Okay,
what I was saying before is when people said I needed to do some nudity on covers, I thought if I'm doing an autobio comic, it's going to be me drawing comics at the strip club. So that's the A cover, and then for way down, you'll see the censored version of the.
This looks cool, Richard.
There it is.
That's the 29 dicks.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the strip club.
Oh, okay.
That's my me at the strip club. Everyone thinks I'd be at the buffet. No, I'd be there.
Crikey.
In the background.
You just have
Do you literally draw at the strip club?
Sorry.
Do you literally draw at the strip club?
I have written at Jumbo's Clown Room a number of times because I really enjoy when it used to be open Tuesday mornings.
Okay.
It was a very nice place to write about sadness.
Yeah, I've seen some of his work, and he's got to be the edgiest guy out there. There's nobody doing anything like this. Let me ask you this. So you said it was how many books are you trying to do a year?
I'm trying to get 300 books out by April 18th next year.
And how many do you have out now?
This will be book 275. So I'll have 25 more books to do. Yeah.
Do you have
And when did you start?
Oh, I published my first book when I was 7, so I actually haven't. It's
Oh.
not that impressive.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But like I was very like
Not
from
this year.
7 through 17, I was putting out like 1 to 2 books a year. Like it was very lazy, slow shit. And so then like with once I got to college and started like doing all of the conventions and everything, then it really kicked off. And then I announced the 300 thing sort of jokingly. I have 300 books by the time I'm 40, and then I realized like, oh, there was actually this one year where my buddy Theo and I decided DC were doing the New 52, and we're like 52 books in a year. They have heaps of people doing those. Though. That's lazy as fuck. Let's do 52 books of our own, just the 2 of us. And so we did. We were already putting out 30 books, so we put out an extra 52 mini comics that year. As a way of like burning through all of our smaller ideas.
That's an impressive output.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And like, to be fair, there's 35 books, 35 volumes of a daily comic strip that I didn't draw. I only wrote 50 strips per volume, and there's 7 graphic novels that I wrote and didn't draw. But sort of to make up for that, there's a handful of things that I've ghostwritten and a lot of bear porn that I've done over the years under
yeah, why not? Yeah.
That I'm not counting towards the 300.
And do I remember correctly? You're Canadian?
No.
We're Scottish. What? I forget.
I'm from New Zealand, hence the oh crikey.
Oh, gotcha. Well, it's weird that you've got this. It's like a ball that's rolling downhill and getting bigger and bigger and churning out more and more books. It's. I might do 3 books a year. I can't even imagine.
Right.
Yeah, but you have work-life balance.
Right.
Well, yeah, that might be true. So let me ask.
I get up at 4 and I work until 11. That's what I do.
PM or AM?
Both 4 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
And then I'll do.
And so
one
you write
hour
them,
with my husband,
and you write, illustrate, letter,
and color. Yeah.
in color, and then you do the Kickstarters.
Yeah, and I try to do 10 to 15 conventions a year, and then I like all the book design and all the formatting, all that shit is me as well.
Yeah. So what is the current graphic to advertise this one? And also, what did you use for wet cement? Because that's the one I was familiar with.
Wet cement throughout the campaign, I ran through the 3 different covers for it, or like slices of the cover. So there's the image of her on the toilet surrounded by the goldfish. There was the image of the 2 of them in the movie theater surrounded by all the graffiti. And then there was the image of the 2 of them that was done as like a actual like punk poster, photocopied collage of them running with the raining shoes all around them.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was really cool. What was the one with the, if I get this a little wrong, forgive me, Richard. It was like a Frankenstein girl and it was like a cutout doll.
Oh, right. So it's Ex-Wives of Frankenstein.
Ex-Wives of Frankenstein. KJ,
so
you would dig that one.
All of the main covers for that I'm doing myself as I'm building actual physical sculptures. That the next campaign that launches next week is actually issue 3 of that, and I've built a thing of like an arm that's unstitching itself.
Yeah.
And you can
Ex-Wives of Frankenstein. Great title.
You can see the cover. You can see the page 1 of the comic coming through inside the arm. So those are all sculpture covers, and then I've got other artists doing drawings and paintings and things. And I wanted to do one of those paper dolls where you get the clothes and you fold the tabs over to like dress them in different outfits. But I did.
They looked like corpses, right? They were sort of like.
Sort of like I know that I had a Buffy one. It was a fridge magnet set that I got in a magazine when I was 15.
Fridge magnet set.
And so I wanted to do this one as a fridge magnet. So I had Hey Weirdo, who's one of my favorite artists. Had her design it. It's the Bride of the Monster naked, cut up into pieces.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
All of her outfits around her. So that the idea would be you could put on her lipstick, give her dildo, put on her t-shirt, put on her shorts, like swap every piece in and out. But unfortunately, every company we went to were like, no, these pieces will be too small. We can't make magnets out of it.
Gotcha. So that's one of the things. So you got any kind of new and interesting merch? I know you always have whacked out merch. What's on the table next?
I'm trying to figure out a way to do a pocket wrench set for X-Wives 3. So I try and do like a useful item for each one that comes with a QR code for downloading the comic. So it was the sewing kit to stitch yourself back together for issue 1. A custom box of matches as emergency mini torches for scaring away monsters for issue 2. It'll be a little pocket wrench set, I think, for issue 3, and then issue 4 is one of those seam rippers you use to like unpick things. And there's going to be a regular edition that just has her name on it and the QR code. And there's going to be the fancy limited one, which will be a little glass frame with it floating inside, and it'll say, "In case of emergency, break glass and tear yourself apart."
That sounds cool, man. I like the other one a lot.
We're doing a cover for issue 3, which is like, it's been really hard to find an artist for it, and really hard to find someone who can kind of grasp the tone of it. It's so Victoria, the Bride of the Monster, she obviously, like, she's powered by lightning. She gets a real charge from electricity. In the 3rd issue, she actually pulls the underwire out of her bra, wraps it around her tongue, and then puts it into a wall socket just to feel better for a second. And so I wanted to do a cover where it's her aggressively putting a toaster in the bathtub and orgasming as she does it. And it was really hard to find someone who didn't think it was a suicide joke, which is not. It's about like I'm making you watch her self-destructive behavior, but she's enjoying herself. She has the power. Yeah. But then finding someone who could actually get that aspect of it and not make it feel like, I got a few different people sent me layouts for their idea for it, and it was always like sexy girl holding up toaster, like, "Ooh, I might drop this in the water with me." And I was like, "This is the grossest. I feel so perverted looking at this." And I want
you probably should.
But I want them to feel like uncomfortable because she's powerful.
Yeah. The other one was really good, man. Definitely looking forward to see where that goes. So let's jump back over to that'd be this guy, right? Sorry, I'm going to do some executive producing here. So that's what I was telling you about not having a producer.
I screw up with the controls too all the time, brother.
Yeah. So by the way, you're admin too, right? Are we on the same, are you on Indie Comics Network?
No. I'm rocking solo.
Oh, look at you, buddy.
I'm cool with them. I'm cool with everybody. I just.
Hey, well, this is slightly off topic, if you don't mind asking. But as the other podcasting fellow, why didn't you do the network?
Too
cool.
I'm a New Yorker and I got a big chip on my shoulder.
Look at that.
Look at that. It's not. And again, I don't have heat with anybody, so it's not that. I'm cool.
You can build some tonight if you want to drop some hot takes, man. Let's
Some
jump back
diss
to New York
tracks.
versus the world, right? So, by the way, I love the zombie Statue of Liberty, right?
I
What
love
could
it too, dude.
What could be
Dude.
better? Would you consider a no logo version?
I have
Remember the points that Richard said. You got New York versus the world, right? It's what you're trying to is. If this is a sales thing, we sometimes talk about this. It's not always right, but they call it elements of discovery. You're not being sold. This is what works so well for Richard. People go, "What the fuck's that?"
Right.
What you're trying to do is get them to just look and possibly click it, and sometimes it has nothing to do with the title.
I don't know. I'm still stuck with the branding. You know, I come from a big retail background, and
What's the retail background? Can I ask?
so I was part of big box pharmacy chains.
Okay.
Dwayne Reed, Rite Aid, CVS, Thriftways out here in New York for 10 to 12 years. And one of the things that was always drilled on me was make sure there's a price on everything. Make sure people know, you know, how much something costs, even though there's a price on the shelf. So I applied that theory to this. Make sure everybody knows what the book is called, right? So they can lift the image, whatever they want to do. That title will always be with it. Right, make sure they know. So that's the only reason why.
Okay, that's a good reason.
You know, and I'm not trying to overthink anything. You know,
Hey, it worked for George Lucas.
Which one?
It worked for George Lucas real well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All his VHS copies have prices on them.
There you go. There you go, bro.
Well, it's got logos on everything too. It's all branded. And
and
when I was a kid, I would walk into a store and I would go to the toy section and look for the Star Wars logo.
There you go. There you go. You see,
how about the this is a little bit of an older reference, but remember when the DC Comics had the checkerboard across the top so you could see them in the rack? And at the time they sort of made fun of that, like it was an unsuccessful marketing ploy. But looking back on it now, those are some of the most beloved books.
All right, so you know what? Let me take this to another level. You see, my brand logo was over there in top left corner, Unstoppable Comics.
Okay,
we're running the red and the yellow. The only reason I'm running that is because I remember reading that McDonald's chose those two colors because you know they were the most visually attracting colors, right?
Okay,
so,
well, listen, because I want to ask this question too. Now, I would have said, and remember, I'm not an expert, Jay, but one of my people probably would have said to me right there, "Hey, well, your logo in the corner is too small." Would anybody else on this panel have said that?
Yep,
I've heard
think
it.
so.
I've heard it.
I wasn't sure what it was, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about this? And again, this is I don't know. This is a question for the panel. What if it's let's say it's Unstoppable Comics really big on the left hand side, New York versus the world really big on the right hand side, and the statues in the middle, something like it's a rectangular layout.
I would just increase the Unstoppable Comics logo a bit. That's what I would do, so it could be.
There is room for it.
Yeah, you do have space there.
Okay, cool. So we were talking about Star Wars for a second, right? And this is just a back and forth. This is not knocking any of the statements that were made. I'm listening in, right?
Roger that.
We're talking about the Star Wars card, right?
Okay.
We're looking at the Star Wars card. The Star Wars was the brand, but the Kenner was a small little logo on the bottom.
Right.
Sure. Yep.
Which one overpowered which? Which one were we selling? Were we selling
Star
the
Wars.
Kenner brand or were we selling the Star Wars? Right. So that's the only reason why I'm going into it like this, right?
Mhm.
That's all.
Okay.
You picked it up for Star Wars, and you discovered Kenner after.
Yeah.
Is there a world where you could have a more simplified version of your logo so it wasn't your full logo in the same way that like you have like a favicon on a website?
Oh yeah, dude. If you scroll further down, I did one of those classic corner box
nice
style covers,
Mhm.
and whatchamacallit? Yeah, on that cover
great.
itself. Whatchamacallit? So with this one, I just eliminated the red box, and it's just the Unstoppable Comics on that blue cover.
Can you guys see this? Okay, is it on the display?
Well, it's
Okay.
small. I mean, I guess I should have made it bigger. Sexy now. But go scroll up a little bit there, bro. Scroll up a little more. Bam. So maybe it's too small for the image over here. But on the cover itself, I pretty much just use a standard Marvel book from the 80s and use it as an overlay to measure my cover over it. It's the one underneath that one, bro. The blue one.
Oh, hold on. Gotcha. Oh yeah, very much so.
Right. So that's why we went with the Chrono box. And then I just eliminated the red, and then I put that the Unstoppable Comics up there, Richard. You know,
that's cool.
But it's still in the same font and same presentation of the font.
Yeah.
Look, tell you what, I want to show one too, because I just have a recent one, and I'm mentioning this because I am starting to prefer the number worked into the design. And here's what I mean by that, if you guys can see this. See, the volume 5 is worked into the logo. I feel like McCover was getting kind of busy with having numbers on it. What do you guys think of that?
Where? Yeah, where
Yeah,
is it?
it's right next to the word water. You see, very small, volume 5.
I like it.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Oh, yeah.
Before we had it in the corner box on the left, and I didn't love it. And then it was put over on the right, and it was too busy. I didn't dig it.
You know what I like about it is I like to see fresh new things being done with comic books, and that's something fresh, but it's also functional. There's there's no downside to it that I can see. I think that's a really cool idea.
Tim, I've just over on Facebook. I've just sent you my
let's take a look at
company
that
logo
let's look at that for a reference. Just grabbing the file. Oh yeah, sure. Richard sucks.
So with this one, like
and it's the tentacle.
Yeah, so this is the version that I have. This is my banner behind me at cons, so it can be 8 feet by 8 feet. And if it's a space where I can go higher, I usually show the lid of the bottle being flipped off by the tentacle as well. But it also means that I can simplify it down to just the Richard Sucks, remove the bottle, remove the tentacle, or just have the bottle. But it works as like a shibboleth because like all gay men of a certain age see a bottle of poppers and will like gravitate toward me.
Wait, hold on. I don't know what a shibboleth is.
It's the little Jesus fish that people used to draw in the sand to
Roger that. Yeah. Okay. I understand. Yeah. Thank you.
It's the like showing a bottle of poppers as your logo, which to most people looks like an innocent small bottle, is definitely going to it's a signal to every gay dirtbag in the world. Hey, I've got the comics for you here.
You've got a gutsy marketing approach. You have like no fear at all, do you?
I mean, it's my brain's all fucking fried from huffing poppers all the time.
He knows his demographic and he's just leaning into it, bro. You know what I mean?
Lean into it. Yeah. Truer words were never spoken.
Hey, if you're going to do something, do it right.
Yeah.
You know?
I was trying to figure out if I had a
go
bottle
all
within
in,
arm's
you
reach.
know?
Oh, look, see? Always here.
I'm going to jump up. I want to show you some of Gregory's designs too that we didn't show before, because some of these are really
You're a blast,
cool.
Richard. Seriously,
But
man.
I think some of what we're
You ought
talking
to try
about
being his
is
neighbor, brother. I'm not kidding you. All day long, everybody stops at his booth going, "What the fuck is that?" The customers are the whole way around the thing.
I've never come away from a con without selling out.
That's awesome.
Nice. Timothy, before you move on, let me ask Richard this question.
Go
Bro,
ahead.
you said you're doing 15 conventions a year out of New Zealand. Is it pricey? Do you?
Oh God, no! I left New Zealand a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
So I used to do the Armageddon convention. So New Zealand is it's the butthole of the world. There were 4 comic stores in the whole country. There were 6 cons a year. My booth, my last time I was in New Zealand for a show, my booth was 60 feet wide, 20 feet deep. I had a staff of 10, 200 titles on the table, a video game, an action figure, and I hosted all the celebrity guests.
What?
But I was 30 and was like, I can't fucking do anything else from here. So the next day I brought in every single thing I owned and said, all books are now $1. Every book comes with a personal item. I'm leaving the country on Monday.
Huh.
Wow.
Hey, I'll just add a quick convention
gold,
thing
bro.
I noticed last week in Philadelphia. You know, people have, and this is probably a topic for another show, but I'll just briefly add it. People have said things like, hey, floppies are struggling a little bit, but graphic novels are up. So I converted into 2 graphic novels. I sold more $30 books than I did $10 books for the first time. Matter of fact, the graphic novels all sold out. So man headed up to a massive printing next of, I got a 108-page book and one's 152. And I sold more of those than floppies.
I'm with that, but I wouldn't cut off my nose to spite my face.
Yeah, because I still got collectors too.
Here's the tough question. So like if you're flying to shows and let's assume you're being smart and taking Southwest so you can have your 2 check bags. Like if your floppies are $10, which is a reasonable price for an indie person to be selling their floppies at a show, you can probably get 5 floppies in terms of weight for 1 graphic novel. Do that math before you do this swapping out 5 for $50 for $30 before you figure out how many you're selling.
Yeah.
It also will make a huge difference if you can be selling multiples of things all at once.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right about the weight thing. I hadn't thought that through, but it is. And also, man, you got to have just a stack of number ones. I do something like 3 to 1 ordering number ones, and I still can't keep them in stock.
Yeah.
Number ones load up, dude. You know what I mean? People always, they're always willing to get their feet wet with the first issue.
Well, let's as we're getting into the last quarter here. So, Gregory, tell us about what we're seeing here. So I looked at some of these designs, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
This is some sketches that the lead designer on the video game I'm working on, Blue Terra, Olaf Eckhart is his name. He's freaking phenomenal. But this is his sketch for the Leviathan. That's Isan Fazeli's sketches right here. He's just trying to, with this, he's trying to just get a feel for the mood, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an aquatic survival game that's set in the future, thousands of years in the future, where agents of a continuation of species project called Operation Forge are awakened from stasis pods with the mission of mapping out the new world, discovering what the new threats are to the colonists that are in stasis.
That sounds like something I would like. So this is unrelated then to the Battlegate card game.
Oh, it's going to end up. We're gonna release a Blue Terra deck eventually for Battlegate. But this is also separate from my comic book universe. That's another design by Olaf right there. That's an amphibious Arctic vehicle. The different Forge agents branch. There are different branches for different types of extinction level events. In this case, it ends up being an ocean world scenario in the story. So you're playing as the character, the protagonist. His name is Clade. And Clade is an ocean survivalist expert. And essentially, you have to you find out that the world is now ruled by sea monsters. And you have to figure out a way that the colonists can survive and repopulate humanity and build new colonies and all that kind of stuff.
Greg, this is really cool, man. And this is what you have. Again, this is probably a full topic for another. But now this is where you got this marketing team to come in and do this part.
We don't have a marketing team yet, actually. Wow. I'm actually going to hire somebody to run my comic book campaigns. He does pretty good. I've been watching this one guy. I'll talk about that more in the future. Once I get closer to launch, but he's done really well. I didn't do so well at maintaining, or I should say managing my campaign. That I found that's my weak point. And that's a bad weakness to have. When you're trying to get your IP launched. So I'm not a stupid guy, at least in some areas. So I made sure to get somebody who's good at that.
Well, hey, the mark of a professional is to know your limitations.
You got to know your limits, man. You got to know your strengths and your weaknesses.
As we're getting down to the last couple of minutes here, let's do some calls to action on some of these projects. We're looking tonight. This is KJ's project. This is the Resistance Bounty Hunter Blitz. I got the right panel there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That one's live right now. AJ, tell us who is going to love this book.
Fans of, I would say, fans of X-Men 97 and G.I. Joe. Those are two biggest influences.
Right now,
right. Yeah. It's the world is very toyetic too. It's about an uncompromising strike force made up of alien refugees, outlaws, and bounty hunters 100 years in the future.
Nice. And potential.
You like that kind of thing?
Yeah, you can back with confidence. He's got a long history of fulfilling these campaigns. I
have
several of them, and they're really good. And are you going to have the source book available again?
Yeah, it's an add-on for any of the packages, and we have different rewards levels where you can get like all of our previous books. I mean, this is I guess not including Sophia Saturn in this little world that brings in Hyperaction 2, which is an anthology series featuring the characters. This is what our 13th and 14th books.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good, man. Your series is good. Yeah. I got to recommend it to people out there. If you're on the fence, this one is definitely worth it. And if you're into lore, get the source book. I thought it was really cool.
It's definitely my biggest passion in life. So
I'm right there with you. Okay, Richard. This is. Are we live right now with this one? It is live, right?
Yep.
Richard
Launch this morning, goes till Tuesday.
5-day campaign. What can you tell us about it?
So it is a 2013 autobio comic strip. Someone described it to me today as, "Hey, it's like dad jokes but for the child free." They run the gamut from just very stupid jokes about, like there's one about me talking about how my fan has 4 speeds if you count off. And then there's also like massive overshares where I describe my obsessive writing style of figuring out what kind of cheese my favorite dinosaur would eat. And my favorite dinosaur, I mean like the one I write a book about, not just like a breed of dinosaur. Of course, and then yes. If you like comic strips and if you like oversharing, then yeah, it's this is the one. And there's all kinds of look, someone just bought one. Nice. All kinds of add-ons on there as well. Because I've had 3 graphic novels and 4 single issue things. 5 graphic novels and 4 single issues come out in the past year, and a bunch of smaller side books as well, which are all available, including there's a bundle there of you can get this Octopus, my memoir, and then Too Hot for Octopus, the handwritten journal that covers the context and aftermath of the various villainous men who have made a camping ground out of my butthole.
Of course. Yeah, man, call to action. Richard Fairgray, comic book character. I've read some of this material and it is out there. And I'm telling you, when we were at the convention, it's, again, we were talking about elements of discovery, right? That's a topic probably for a whole show on its own. But you were really never being like, hey, come buy my comics. You got to come, which is typically what people do at conventions. It's a little much rich, right? But it was, I mean, telling you, the line was going down the damn thing. So congratulations to you on what is easily described as an inventive marketing practice.
Thank you.
In 5 days, no less. Wish you every success with that one.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to New York versus the world, right? This is live right now?
Yes, that is live. We are in the home stretch. Final 24 hours. We're going to be doing a closing live stream tomorrow night, hanging out and do some trivia, cracking some jokes on each other while we celebrate the ending of this campaign. So if you are into zombies and horror, this is right up your alley. If you love that whole 1970s grindhouse look of New York City during movies like The Warriors or Escape from New York, that's the kind of setup that we got going on in here. If you hate New Yorkers, you're gonna love it because you'll see them get eaten alive. If you love New Yorkers, you're gonna love it because you can see them try to survive the zombie apocalypse. You know what I mean? We're hitting both sides of the spectrum on this.
Everybody hates New Yorkers, though.
Yeah, I want to see them get eaten. I want to see some New Yorkers get eaten.
If whatchamacallit? The only main character is New York City, right? So the very first issue takes place on Ellis Island because that is our quarantine zone. The second issue takes place in Coney Island. The third issue, which is what we're looking to fund, takes place around the Brooklyn Bridge. If you like the way the Twilight Zone would have you feeling at the ending where it was like, oh man, that was messed up. Each issue is going to make you feel like that. They're all standalone stories.
How many is this, Jay?
This is the third issue right now.
Okay.
So it's black and white, just like the classic stuff, right? The very first Dawn of the Dead, or the Walking Dead books. So we're keeping that through line in here. When we go trade, we will put it all in color. But I love zombie stuff, man. You can tell you can tell those moral tales, but have them very subversive, right? Where you don't know. You're getting fed. Well, all right. You know what? The whole idea about this is xenophobia. You remember the first one, right? It had bits of racism in it. You remember the second one when they were in the mall? They were talking about capitalism, right? This is all about xenophobia. This is build a wall, build a wall, build a wall type of scenario. But what happens when you have one group of people who are on one side of the wall, which is New York City, who are trying to protect their family, and then you have a group of people who are on the other side of the wall looking for a safe place to protect their family? Right? You wrap that up in this powder keg of this zombie-filled universe, and there's no right or wrong answer, man.
Now, quick question for you, Jay. For mature readers, is this violence, gore, language? What's going on with the mature?
All of it. All of it.
Gotcha.
This is a mature reader. This is blood, guts, and gore.
How gory is it compared to, say, Walking Dead? More or less gory? Or about the same?
More. You're about the same. About the same. Not as bad as what was the Avatar one?
Crossed. Yeah. Yeah, that's not for everybody.
They went deep with Cross. We're not going that far. We're not going
this book is not for anyone. Hey, you better grab that.
What was the zombie
Excuse me,
book?
sorry.
What was the zombie book that someone did where I think Image put it out and they had a guarantee that you could return it?
I think that was Crossed.
No, it wasn't
No,
Crossed. It was the
Diamond
one that has the zombie fucking the cow.
That sounds like Crossed to me.
It's not Crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, I might be wrong.
This would have been like 2003 or 4, I think.
No, I have no clue.
It does.
No
It does
clue.
sound like Crossed, which I'm always quick.
Zombie
to
King.
find.
It's called Zombie King.
Oh, Zombie King. I don't think I know.
Yeah, so if
that.
you want to see a zombie just go into town on a cow, that is the book.
Yeah,
for you.
no. The zombies here are catalysts. They're window dressing. They're the MacGuffin that moves the story forward.
Okay, so they're not getting horny for Twister.
No, they're not.
Makes sense. Well, guys, hey, we're just about to the last 5 minutes. Before we close out, let's go around the room and we're going to tell the people where they can find you, mention your website, quick shout out, whatever you want to cover. Gregory, let's hit you first, buddy.
Yeah, I don't have an active campaign or a sign up just yet, but you can find me on Facebook. I've got a Gun Demon group or page, I guess. Mecha Man, MECHA Man. That's another title I'm launching soon after Gun Demon. There's also, I just started a Blue Terra page. It's not that active yet. Or my profile there. Then there's at Gun Demon Greg on Instagram. I'm perma banned from Twitter, so no X for me.
Yeah, I don't use that one anymore either.
Nice.
But
And
hey,
Reddit
man,
also banned me too.
the stuff looks really good, man. And I definitely will be talking a little bit more about the trading card stuff. I'm interested. KJ, hey, man, I'm a follower of a previous campaign and very satisfied with the product.
Yep, thanks
Tell
so
us where
much.
the viewers, where we can find you.
BigBlueComics.com. We have all the links to social media. Big Blue Comics on Instagram and Facebook. But the campaign is BountyHunterBlitz.com. Very easy.
Nice. Thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Richard. Hey,
nice meeting
always a pleasure to see you. Hopefully, are you going to be in Baltimore this year?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool.
I'm asked to be far away from you, though.
Well, I might be partnering up with this guy, Niall O'Rourke. I'm not going to say anything just yet, but you know Niall, Irish writer.
I only know him as someone who buys all my books. I don't actually know him in person, but
He's
it's a name
pretty
I know
cool.
from backer surveys.
Yeah,
So I like him.
Yeah, he seems like a cool cat. We're gonna try and we got something cooked up. We'll see if it flies before I say anything. So tell
By the way,
viewers-
I have requested to be in the same spot as last year. So if you go for the same spot, you know what you should do? You should try and get the spot on the other side of me because that guy was a dud.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm trying to do because maybe you want in. And before I was getting a double table, you can rent half a publisher booth for a little bit less than a double table. And it's the thing that goes the whole way to the ceiling. And we're gonna do it. Spend a little money on it.
My problem is I can't bring banners when I'm flying.
Oh yeah.
Get the
Yes,
24-inch one.
Yes, you
Right.
could. Yes, you could. These bad boys behind me are 2x6s. I rolled them up. All right. And if they get crinkles in them, I can just hit the hair dryer in the hotel room and they flatten out. There's nothing other than the grommets, so I could pin it to the whatever.
Yeah, but that's not the issue. It's the Baltimore. You don't have anything behind you to hang anything on, so it has to be a
Smoke
frame.
pipe and drain.
Right.
And everyone is like, just take it as your carry-on. I'm like, I can get $1,000 worth of books in my carry-on because I'm very good at looking like things are light when they're not. Like, I cannot sacrifice that for the sake of a banner. I will be the active thing that people can look at.
I got you. I'm sorry. I don't fly to cons. I drive to all my stuff.
I drive myself too. Sometimes if they're not paying for the flight, that's my kick out. But Richard, tell us where we can find you.
You can always find me at kickrichards.com. That will be the forever link for all of whatever my active Kickstarter is moving forward. richardfairgray.com. You can see thousands of pages of my older works. My author page on Amazon has all my kid-friendly stuff. fourcolorheroes.com for my graphic novel that just won the GLAAD Award. Not to brag. I'm going to start carrying that.
Hey, you can brag, man. Listen, if you win an award, give it a shout out. Congratulations, man.
You earn it.
Really be,
Yeah.
Really be, bro.
I have been referring to myself as former GLAAD nominee instead of award winner because I think it's funnier.
That's definitely funnier.
But this isn't official yet, but there might be a line of Dirtbag Pride merch coming this year. My very own flags, buttons and pins for gay divorce, and I'm too lazy to be bi, and Grindr fitness app.
Fucking love that, bro.
Yeah, dude, I wish every success. I got to say to you guys, if you're on the convention circuit, you have to recommend having Richard Fairgrave for a neighbor. It's an unearthly experience.
It just had me pissing on myself all night, bro. Yeah, man.
Tim, what shows are you doing before Baltimore?
I'm on a team up for Fan Expo, so I think I'm going to be in Dallas and Boston.
Are you doing Denver?
Oh wow.
I don't know if I can get a flight to Denver that's reasonable for me. I can get a table, but my thing is the flight and the hotel. So I'm going to say maybe.
Okay. I was going to say
I even have a place to stay in Denver, but for me, it's difficult.
No, I was going to try and say, like, if you're doing one of the shows that I'm already going to, I will give you stuff to bring me in Baltimore.
Okay.
That show is so good for me. I always end up with nothing by the Sunday.
Listen, that we probably could work out because I'm actually pretty close to Baltimore. Jay, I'm going to give you the final word, buddy. Tell us where we can find you.
UnstoppableComics.com. You'll find all of my social media links on the website. But please, for the next 24 hours, New York versus the World on Kickstarter. And then catch me on Comic Book Streamland on Saturday, and Indie Comics Explained on Sunday.
Perfect. Hey, am I on that one? I guess you and I are coming up for some show or other.
I don't know. I'm this is gonna be my last one for 2 weeks. Going on vacation after this.
Gotcha. Where are you going?
Florida.
Nice.
No, we need the exact address.
Tell me you're going CSP.
Well, I should probably mention this. This is something that's going to be announced in the next couple of days. I just took an editing job in Sarasota, Florida. I'll be down there.
Oh, way to be, bro.
Yeah. When you hear what the project is, I swear you're going to.
I miss living in Sarasota, man. I love it there.
Yeah, Greg, you know what it is. It's the Sarasota Blues Festival. It's a photo documentary.
Very cool, man.
Nice.
Very cool. Way to be, brother.
Yeah, I'll be down there. It'll be about 10 days, 12 days. But for the rest of you guys watching from home, man, that's our show tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday night. Please back these projects that you've seen tonight with confidence. I got some of the best creators in America right now.
Nice.
So other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Good night, guys.
Good night.